What's more valuable, the eye test or looking at the box score? Well, obviously the eye test. But in my opinion, I generally feel that the box score will generally tell you almost exactly what you saw in the game. For example, Calvin Johnson would consistently put up ginormous box score stats. And my eyes told me that he put up ginormous box score stats because he was a great receiver, as you can see in the thumbnail of this video. But of course, the box score doesn't always tell the whole story, and it can be a bit murky. Sometimes we watch a game and a quarterback puts up over 400 yards, but then they might say, "Nah, man, the eye test told me he didn't play that good." But the eye test is also a little murky in some ways, as we're going to talk about in this video. Everyone, when they watch a play, they see the exact same thing, but they interpret what they saw differently. Oh, the receiver had to jump for it, or the pass was behind the intended target, or the pass was perfectly placed. It's very interesting, and that's why I wanted to talk about this video. Now, I'm going to be using football for this video, but I hope that it can also be applied to all sports. The first thing I want to talk about is the Daniel Jones touchdown pass. I'm going to show you how two people saw literally the exact same play, but they came to completely different conclusions about the execution. Listen in this first example to how the announcer basically gushes about how well the pass was placed. And then I'm going to show you Brett Kollmann. Go subscribe to his channel, by the way. He came to a completely different conclusion. He said the pass was placed horribly.
6 on that last play. Jones again with time. Corner of the end zone. Completes it. Did Fowler get his feet in? Yes. Touchdown, Giants.
Ball placement. Make a note of it, folks. This kid is putting the ball where only his receiver can get it. Outside throws, those are tough ones.
And every offensive lineman after that touchdown throw just gave Daniel Jones a big hug.
There it lies. Knows exactly where he wants to go with the ball, throws it on time, but look at the placement of the ball to its outside arm.
Daniel Jones in his first.
That was the biggest question with him coming out of college, and that's why his 5th and final throw against the Jets concerned me just a little bit. Yes, it was a touchdown, and that looks great on the stat sheet, but when you look at where this touchdown pass was placed, honestly, it wasn't good. This was a cover 2 zone look, which was confirmed as zone by the motion from the tight end, and luckily for Jones, the Giants just so happen to be calling a smash flat concept here, which is great against cover 2. The flat route from the tight end is supposed to freeze the corner and place down low, which means that Jones gets to throw it up to a one-on-one to Benny Fowler when he's all alone on an island with the safety. As long as you've got a good jump ball receiver who can go up and get it, this is a really reliable passing concept in the red zone, which is why most teams use it. However, Jones didn't elevate the ball. Rule number 1 of throwing this route as a quarterback is to protect the ball. You have to either keep it high and at the back pylon, or high and outside the boundary if you think your receiver can toe tap it right on the paint, but you never ever want to drop it in too flat and too inside, because that's how you get undercut and picked off. This ball was way too low and way too inside, and he was extraordinarily lucky that it was Santos Ramirez and not Jamal Adams on the field for this throw. Watch how Ramirez played it, because it wasn't all that bad at the start. He read the bend out to the pylon well and drove on it, and right there he's already in position, even if he doesn't know it yet. He panicked, obviously, which just compounded his mistakes later in the play, but he shouldn't have panicked because that's right where he needed to be. All he had to do was just turn his head and the ball was coming right to him. He never looked for it, even when the ball was whizzing right by his ear hole, and that's a frustrating missed opportunity.
So I am not even going to try to say who was right and who was wrong in this particular instance. But you all see what I mean? This is the first example I want to use, but it's interesting. Both of these people, and they're both knowledgeable. I know Brett Kollmann knows his football, and I assume that that announcer knows his football too, or he wouldn't have been the color commentator. So they both obviously know their football, but they both came to completely separate conclusions when they watched the play. Maybe the Giants announcer off-screen said the pass was not perfectly placed, but I cannot confirm or deny that. Now, the next example I want to use is from Jackson Krueger Sports and the Hook Cam. Go subscribe to both of their channels. Again, one person says he could have made that throw, and the other says no, he shouldn't even try to make that throw.
Now Rodgers could try to hit him before the linebacker runs over and is able to get into the play. Of course, this is a clever disguise, and Rodgers, it's going to be tough for him to figure all this out post-snap. But as you see post-snap, definitely he has a window where he can try to make this throw. It's nothing crazy open, but there definitely is something who is open right here. So Rodgers should not hesitate. He should make a throw in this direction, try to see if he can pick up the first down, and he is looking in that direction too. But one direction that he...
So you all saw what Jackson said, but here's what the Hook Cam had to say about it. Play 3. There is no window for him to throw the ball. That backer is supposed to wall off the number 3 wide receiver who is coming across the field. Completely understandable for 12 to not try and force it. Interesting, right? They both know their football. The Hook Cam coached football, so they both know football, but they both watched the exact same play and came to a completely different conclusion. The last thing I want to talk about as it pertains to the eye test is interceptions. I'm going to show you 2 Matthew Stafford interceptions, 2 Aaron Rodgers interceptions, and a Russell Wilson interception. My eyes tell me that the 2 Stafford interceptions were the most inexcusable, but the stats say that they were the best interceptions that you could have thrown.
Stafford looking for Calvin Johnson. This was a huge play. The good news for Green Bay, Devon House snags it. Now, they said his momentum carried him into the end zone, so it's first down instead of a touchback at like the 6-inch line.
Down in a pick. Good block by the left tackle. Rooted in. Oh, he's going deep. And he's looking for Jones. It's picked off on the play. Jenkins with the catch.
It's a 3-man rush. Rodgers gonna go deep. He's got Kumaro, but it's picked off. It's intercepted by Rodgers with time, and it is picked off. Justin Kollmann right out of the hands, and now on the go. Look at this play by Kollmann. Wilson pressure off the edge, releases it, and it is intercepted by Greenlaw. Trey Greenlaw now on the return. As he's still on his feet with blockers in front, Trey Greenlaw down the sideline. Can you believe?
Here's the opponent's starting field position after each of these interceptions was thrown. Now, if I had to rank these interceptions in terms of excusable or inexcusable, I definitely would say that the 2 Stafford interceptions were the most inexcusable. The Rodgers interception, where he got picked off by Oruwariye, it was 3rd and 15. It's almost like, whatever. Just launch it down the field on 3rd and 15. But it was kind of up for grabs, so it was kind of an ugly throw. Then the Wilson interception, in my opinion, was kind of excusable because I didn't really view it as a bad decision as much as I would view it as an inaccurate throw. We know Wilson can make those throws. He just didn't on that play. I felt if he maybe lofted it to the corner of the end zone, there was a path for that pass to get completed. The most excusable was when Rodgers got picked off by Kollmann, when it got deflected into the air and it got picked off. It happens. Here's why the eye test versus the stats with these 5 interceptions in particular is interesting, because the 2 ugliest interceptions, the most inexcusable ones, those were actually the best possible interceptions that you could have thrown. The one to Calvin Johnson, the Packers started at the 1-yard line, their own 1-yard line. So that's great for the Lions. And then the double coverage interception against the Chargers. The Chargers didn't even start their drive on offense outside of their own red zone. They started at their own 15. So it was a good interception, all things considered. Then that Rodgers interception to Oruwariye, it's basically just like a punt if you really think about it. But then the 2 that were the most excusable were actually the worst possible interceptions. At least the 2 most excusable, in my opinion, were the worst interceptions. Because, like, the 49ers started their drive in Seahawks territory. And the Lions started their drive in Green Bay territory. So I guess what I'm getting at here with this is that, yes, the eye test is great. but the stats behind it are also great. So we know that there's point expectancies and whatever, but here's the actual results of what happened after each interception was thrown. On the Stafford interception versus the Packers, the Lions ended up getting 2 points out of it. In the Stafford interception versus the Chargers ended up missing a field goal, so it ended up costing the Lions pretty much nothing. The Rodgers interception, where he was picked off by Justin Kollmann, the Lions ended up getting a field goal. But keep in mind, that was in the red zone. That interception occurred in the red zone, so that interception probably cost the Packers somewhere around a minimum of 6 points. 3 points that they didn't get from basically a chip shot field goal, and the 3 points the Lions got from their field goal. And then the Rodgers interception, where he got picked off by Amani Oruwariye, it didn't cost the Packers anything. The Lions just went 3 and out right after that interception. And the Wilson interception versus the 49ers, it kind of cost the Seahawks some points. It resulted in a missed field goal from the Niners, but at the very least, it cost the Seahawks probably 3 points because it probably would have been a chip shot field goal. So what do I want you all to take away from this? I pretty much didn't really talk about the box score in this video almost at all. I talked pretty much entirely about the eye test. So I guess what I want you, the viewer, to take away from this is that the eye test is great, but what you see as a phenomenal throw, someone else might view it completely differently. In pretty much any sport. Like for a coach, man, I almost just wish I could watch a game with the mind of someone who's coached football, because the way they see the game is so much different than the way that some dude at a bar that just yells at everything would see the game. It's intriguing. As far as the box score will never tell the whole story. But I guess also, if you dig deep and hard enough, you can find not the whole story, but a lot of it. But like I said at the beginning of the video, in my opinion, the eye test and the box score, generally speaking, they go almost hand in hand. And also, what you might sometimes consider a horrible throw, like that Stafford interception that ended up actually getting the Lions 2 points, context matters. I don't know. I mean, I assume Stafford did not know that it would end up getting his team 2 points, because in all honesty, I don't know if they've changed the rule since then, but that probably should have been a touchback for the Packers. But at the same time, even if it did end up being a touchback, it's not the worst statistical interception that you can throw. But yeah, I think that'll be all for this video. I hope you enjoyed. DSA members in the description. If you are a Detroit sports fan like me and many other people from Detroit, then you'll want to check out those links in the description. But yeah, thank you all for watching.